one of the things that, we talked in episode 2 about all of the stuff that you need to bring to the table, if you will, not only to your designer, but you need to have the stuff anyway, but would be the HOA, the covenants, the CC&Rs in your specific community. That would be yet another thing to have, because there would be instances where cities might allow stuff, but a particular subdivision doesn't, and vice versa.
You want to make sure you're properly prepared. And usually people know, but sometimes you have a new HOA. And when you're dealing with a new HOA, it's even the most important that you get in and find out all their little particulars that they want to have.
When you moved into your last house, Mike, did you get your HOA paperwork out and comb through all that information?
Well, when I bought my last home, the previous one, we lived in an HOA, and it was they gave us the manual when we were signing, which was over 2 inches thick. At closing, here, sign that you agree to all this, which we then found out later on there were several things that we didn't agree with. So when we bought our next home, my kids' request was, could we please live in a neighborhood that doesn't have an HOA?
Right.
So we bought in an older neighborhood, and there is no HOA in our neighborhood. So yes, I rather enjoy having no HOA.
So if you live in a community with an HOA, you've got a whole nother set of rules and regulations you got to comply with.
Yes.
And I would encourage anybody that's thinking about getting a pool, whether you've talked to somebody or not, is to download that information from your HOA and get really familiar with it. And you might need somebody like myself or Mike or somebody else to, help you understand it. But that information is critical.
Right. The other thing is to understand you can't just go out and build one of these structures.
What?
No, you have to get a set of permits, and it's inspected during the process. They have to be engineered as well. And so all those things have to be properly prepared to build something properly. So
that brings up this point, and that is that if I'm going to build a new custom house, I'm going to go pay an architect to design the house.
Right.
Then I've got to pay an engineer to design the site to accept the house.
Correct.
And, then there's a contractor that's going to build it. Very likely or possibly the contractor might require some sort of retainer to figure out, okay, we're going to go through this process of figuring out what it costs. We've got a plan and we've got engineering, but it's really not so different with this. There's potentially items that are going to require an investment on their part in order for us to figure out what it's going to cost.
Correct.
And there's just things that it makes sense to have anyway. If you are in a home that you intend on living and you intend on, adding to, put a pool in, an outdoor structure, whatever, that goes back to our, if you don't have soils, you need a soils report. I mean, there's just so much information that people need. It's not like you can just shop like you would for a car, open up the phone book, start calling pool companies and get 10 or 12 or 15 people all lined up and dialed up. Salespeople come out, they take your order. I mean, this is totally, totally different. And I believe this is why one of the reasons why we're doing this is because we really want people to understand that there is a very big difference in building just a basic production pool and a very nice, very high-end, very artistic custom pool. The water is exactly the same in both of them. The kids are not going to care. They're going to enjoy it just the same. But depending on what type of client you are and who you are, what your property looks like and what you're trying to accomplish, it's different.
Sure. Now, there are some things you can do that don't require all that. You can get an umbrella.